My name is Scott Young. I'm a freelance sound engineer and owner of Audio CP. It's a AV hire company based in Glasgow. I have mostly freelance sound engineer in the garage, St Luke's, SWG3 and a few other places. With Audio CP, I employ 2 full-time members of staff. Yeah.
Okay. So, can you tell me what the work life was like before lockdown?
Before lockdown, everything was great. Very successful business. Been growing each year by 20%. Last year we took on another full-time member of staff, and everything was great. We were working non-stop. I've always worked non-stop, but it was constant, and we used a lot of freelancers as well. And our diary for this year was great as well. Before lockdown, we were looking like we were going to have a pretty good year. Everything was normal.
What happened in your kind of social life before the lockdown? Did you have much of a social life?
Did I have much of a social life before lockdown? You should ask my wife. She's never really seen me or the kids. In our industry, it's a passion, so you do it non-stop. You know, the work's there. Sometimes you're working till middle of the night, and then you're up early again out in the morning. I try to take at least one day off a week. During the summer, that doesn't really work. I think the kids and the wife tend to see me in January and February when it's downtime. So that was a big shock to go from full steam ahead to nothing overnight.
And what did you know about the COVID situation before the lockdown?
Yeah, COVID before lockdown was, you know, for the last few months running up to lockdown, you know, you'd see it in the news and you just think, oh, it's over there in China, you know, that doesn't affect us. You know, things in other countries with us, we have the naivety that things in other countries far away don't ever affect us. And when it was slowly creeping towards us, but before that, I never thought, we're fine. You know, it's nothing will affect us here.
So, when lockdown actually happened, how did your work life change?
That first week of the lockdown hitting, actually I remember where I was. You know, everybody says, oh, you remember when Diana died? You remember when September 11th happened? You know, stuff like that. I was doing a gig in a pipe band gig up in Oban when it happened. Lockdown was announced, and no joke, for the week after that, all we got constantly was cancellation. So in the period of a week, our business went from great to literally no income for the rest of the year, which is scary. I mean, at first you think, oh, you know, it'll be, 10, 12 weeks, and then everything will pick up. And you're thinking, what do you do with paying the staff? And what do you do about paying your own bills? All the outgoings that you got every month. You know, you've built up a business that's got ins and outs and responsibilities, and you've got all that pressure on you. And until they started announcing any sort of help, there was just that fear, and I remember feeling pretty numb. Suddenly going to be at home, there was nothing, there's no work. In some ways, it was a very slight blessing, is that I've not had a break in 20 odd years. More than a week off, that's not heard of. I mean, apart from January and February when there's downtime. But I was actually, even during that time, or even when I used to go on holiday, you'd always get emails or phone calls, or the guys were running gigs while I was away, so you got a wee bit of pressure, or you always had that resting in your mind. And then suddenly to go to nothing, I got time to spend at home with the kids and my wife, and you know, I enjoyed that. There was elements of, wow, this is what normal people do, and when they have a week's holiday or a 2-week holiday, like, wow, they actually can switch off. So that was a bit of a surprise to me. When people actually take holidays, that's what you do. But after that holiday period, you know, I'm like getting a bit itchy, so, you know, spent time going, right, what do we do here? So how do we move forward? And all I could do was keep my mind busy by going down to the unit, fixing everything that could possibly think that get fixed, and then even spent a few weeks grinding the warehouse floor down so I could repaint it, because it's one of those jobs you've been wanting to do for years, and you get through that list that you've been had for years because you're too busy, and you get through that list, and then suddenly that list is done, and there's no help, and there's no business coming in, and you have that realisation of you've built a business up for 8 years, and you're proud of what you've done, and then suddenly it's gone, and you start having that realisation of, man, this could be the end of that. You know, but you get to pick yourself up and spent time. I mean, I built a new website, spent time learning how to do all that, and that took months. And then just how to move forward. But literally for months, there was nothing, not a phone call, not an email or inquiry. And it was soul destroying.
So, how did you feel like about that situation? And did you manage to get in contact with any friends or anything like that, or were you isolated?
I mean, during that time, I think the first few weeks, you know, you're talking to other guys in the industry and your friends, you know, these people that you see every single day, you know, the guys, my staff who I'd see every day, they were my friends, or the venues I was working in, you know, you miss that friendship and seeing them and having a bit of banter, and that went from a social interaction and personal in front of each other to, you know, text messages or Zoom chats. I mean, I don't think I even did my first Zoom for a couple of weeks. And you know what, that first time doing the Zoom chat, it was a Saturday night, and it was like all the guys from the garage, and we had such a laugh. And it was one of those things you just needed, because that's what you miss, the banter between each other. And I remember we sat there having some cans on Zoom, and there's maybe 9 of us, and Alice, my wife, kept on coming in and telling me to quieten down because I was just roaring with laughter, you know, and it just, after that you go, you know, you just miss it. But you need those pickups occasionally. Otherwise you go a wee bit stir crazy, starting a house. I mean, even luckily I had the warehouse to go to get a break, you know, from being at the house. I mean, I know you were supposed to be in lockdown, but I just thought it's a place I could go do something that was using my hands or using my brain. I had to, because otherwise I didn't want to be stuck at home and sit and just watch TV, play the PlayStation, and you get yourself stuck in a rut. Really didn't want to go down that route. It's dangerous.
So after the lockdown, or the initial lockdown, what happened?
So, I mean, as lockdown progressed and we started seeing hope of some sort of freedom or normality coming back, we did start to get people who were like wanting to have a garden party for a birthday or a wedding or some sort of celebration. So that was great. We started getting a few phone calls in, but in terms of inquiries, you're talking a fifth of what we would normally do. You would get excited because you get somebody phoning up looking for a £20 hire. You know, it was just like you'd drive down to the unit, spend that time doing that to give them a £20 hire that was not worth your time, but it was something. You're thinking, right, that goes towards paying electricity bill. You know, all these things add up. And you try and encourage, well, do you want it dropped off just so you can get that extra bit of money? But in terms of sound engineering, there was nothing. Not a shred came through. One hope came through that we did do one live stream for a boxing event in Aberdeen, and I thought, oh, maybe this is the start of it. We'd start doing this regularly. And what happens is the second one was booked 2 weeks after, and Aberdeen got locked down, and we lost it. And it was like a smack in the face. It's 2 steps forward, and you're talking 3 steps back sometimes. That's what it felt like. But as we progressed there, you know, there's a few wee hires coming in, and it helps. But it's not the business that we had before. Not at all. And both my staff have been furloughed as well, and we're going to have to look down the redundancy route because of there's no help from the government. We got a grant, the £10,000 grant to help with rent and rates, which has been like, cool, that's our rent and rates paid and some other bills for a wee while. Let's figure out cash flow here, and we've taken out a business bounce back loan to try and help with cash flow with the positive attitude, hey, it's all going to come back. But as the weeks go on, it's harder to believe that they are, and when they do come back, what's going to be left? Who's going to be left standing? But the only thing I can do is be positive about it. I'm not going to let a business and my own self-employment, my freelance work, and my career where I've got to go to waste. And so I don't take money from my business or to survive. I mean, I've had to work in Amazon deliveries for the last 4 months, and I've got a mouse to feed, I've got a family to feed. I need to keep on going, and that's been really hard because you're going from successful, you know, constant work and a great job you love to doing something that you don't love. It's a necessity because you've got bills to pay and you want to get through it. But if I have to continue doing that for another 6 months, then so be it. But I don't know if the business is going to still be there.
So what would you hope would change in the future?
In terms of the government?
The overall situation, what could you...
The situation?
What
will
you see to help you?
We need financial help. I mean, yesterday with the notification that the government see our industry as not viable that was a kick when you're down. That's what I don't get. They said at the start of this, we will not leave anyone behind. And that was a load of rubbish. The events industry has been left behind. We've got no help. Even, luckily, I have a bit of a furlough from being a company director. I had a wee bit of a wage, so I had a wee bit of help there. A lot of my friends didn't and haven't, and then making staff redundant is horrible. I hope things will change, but after yesterday's announcement, I struggle to think that will be happening. I think they believe that the events industry won't be coming back, not until at least next summer. So in my mindset is, cool, head down, try and scrimp back as many costs as possible, keep the business afloat. We can't sell any equipment, nobody's buying anything. It's literally, let's just have to get through it. If we have to move out of a unit and find somewhere else, sell what equipment we can. But the business is still going to be there, as in the work. once the lockdown stops and whatever the new normality is, I know life has changed, it will never go back to the way it was, but people still want to have parties, people still want to have weddings, still want to go to gigs, still want to have festivals, they want to have live events, people want to socialise. You can see that pubs are busy because people want to go out and party and have social time, but we need them to allow live music for people to do that. We need that to grow, we need the live music to come back in. And I spoke to loads of bands who are, man, they're going crazy as well because they haven't got the ability to perform in any way. So I pray that it's all going to come back in the new normality, and we'll get through it, but we all have to adapt. I think we've all learned that. People who've sat at home thinking it's going to come back and be normal, that's not going to be the case.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you want to add to this? Or?
I think through this time, it's for those who are got jobs outside of our industry to realise that, you know, you've got a massive industry there that has been left to rot. And people need help. And don't forget about those people who have been in the live industry, your sound engineers, your lighting techs, your riggers, your crew, everybody involved in it. Show a wee bit more respect to them, I think, once gigs start happening. You know, people used to sometimes look down on us. But also, through my experiences, I've realised, even doing the job of being a delivery driver, you just don't know where any of these people where they are in life. And you know, and I'm working alongside other guys who are other company directors who had successful businesses, now out delivering parcels to pay their bills. You know, it's amazing where people come from. You don't know their stories, so don't just look at somebody who's out doing a delivery driving job or a cleaning job or something that you might deem as low. You just don't know why they're doing it or where they came from, and I think that's really changed my perspective on people and life. You really don't know what's going on behind what you see, so just take care of other people and show a lot more respect, and you know, working together, we'll get there.